Кое? Контрол? Не. Това режим не. Ако искаш зум. So it is heuristics of personal progress, the title.
Казваме се Емануил и Светлозар.
Emanuil и Svetlozar, two brothers.
И ще ви представим нещо, което нарекахме Enhansmenetics.
We named that area of knowledge Enhansmenetics,
което представлява едно цялостно виждане за личностния напредък.
Which is a total view to the personal achievements and progress.
И го нарекахме холистика на личностния напредък.
И that's the more extended equivalent of the same name.
Back in time, следващия слайд. Големия взрив е
The Big Bang, 14 billion years ago.
Най-силната към момента теория на създаването на материята.
The most powerful theory of creating the mother.
Една сингулярна точка с безкрайна маса.
Singularity point with unlimited mass.
И безкрайно малък обем.
And unlimitedly small volume.
Разпръсква материята и времето.
Disseminated the matter and the time all over the space.
И целият този хаос има
and all that chaos
история 13,7 милиарда години.
Is back in history for 13.7 billion years.
Слънчевата система е по-млада.
Sun system is much more younger. 4.5
милиарда
billion.
Нашата звезда Слънце.
Our star, the sun.
И около нея
around all planets.
Държащите в елипси планети. Масата на Слънцето не е, според Айнщайн, не е причината за привличане на телата, а масата изкривява пространството.
The mass of the sun, according to Einstein, is not a reason for attraction, but it is changing the space.
И планетите се движат в криво пространство.
And all planets are moving in a changed or extorted space.
Оставайки стабилни заради центробежните сили.
Being stable because of inertia, powers of inertia.
Но тук беше хаос.
Until up to here there was chaos. 4 billion years ago, some self-organization took place. Life.
Така, появява се живота. Няма да говоря на тази пиперлива тема.
Skipping the discussable topic about life.
Така или иначе той съществува.
Anyway, it already exists. It's fact of life.
Първична биологична структура, може би ген.
Primary primitive of life structure is probably DNA.
С две основни характеристики.
With two main features.
Оцеляване и репликация.
Survival and replication.
Оцеляването изисква използването на ресурси.
Survival require using different resources if available.
Ако те са неограничени, живота се репликира неограничено.
Unlimited, of course, life will be replicated unlimitedly.
В условията на планетата Земя те са ограничени.
On the planet, of course, resources are limited.
което налага усложняване на биологичните
which
структури.
imposed a necessary for making biological structure more and more complex.
Нарича се конкурентна борба.
It is named Fight for Survival. By the way, the day after tomorrow, our report will be on self-organization systems and the big paradigm change in that collection. So,
с една много важна характеристика – адаптация.
with one main feature, adaptation, ability to adapt.
Продължават репликацията си само тези, които притежават някакво конкурентно предимство спрямо средата.
Replicate only those, surviving only those who or which have some sort of competitive advantage.
И целият този ред
And all that order produced
още 3 милиарда и 700 милиона години до появата на Homo sapiens.
So Homo sapiens already appeared, actually a number of different hominidi.
Цялата тази история е добре описана от този младеж.
The favorite of one of Junior, this gentleman, very well known.
В 1000 страници голем формат дребен шрифт.
Richard Dawkins, thousands of pages.
Връщам се на
Back to the
Вселената, на Слънчевата система.
Back to the planet, the sun. The sun will be not forever.
Има живот, половината от който е изминал.
Half of life already gone.
Остават още 4 милиарда и половина години.
There is only 4 billion years ahead.
Когато ще настъпват изменения в неговата
When
структура,
serious changes will take place in the structure.
Термоядрените процеси.
Thermonuclear processes will be changed dramatically.
След което то ще се раздуе до така наречения червен гигант.
It will grow up to a red giant.
Ще стопи всички планети.
Will eat all planets. So in time we have to move somewhere else.
Така, след което ще се свие, ще се превърне в бяло джудже.
Then it will collapse in creating or existing as a white and that will be the end of sun system.
Като хюмани, трансхюмани или постхюмани имаме оцеляващи.
As humans, transhumans and posthumans, we have a serious reason to progress further. Of course, that's exactly what we are saying.
Това го наричаме причина 1.
So we will name that reason 1.
Какъв е потенциалът?
What is the potential?
Homo sapiens носи в горната си част вещество с килограм и половина тегло.
So the potential is every Homo sapiens is having 1.5 kilo of thinking substrate.
Говорили сме в много предишни наши представяния на тази тема. По-важното е, че е изградено от клетки, които се наричат неврони.
More important is built by cells, neurons, and of course between there is plenty of connections.
От едната страна имат кръчета, от другата страна ръчички, наречени аксони дендрити. Това не е толкова важно. Около 100 милиарда във всяка глава.
100 billions in every head.
И това не е толкова важно, колкото че
But this is not so important.
Тези
But what is really important
могат да се свързват с
that the potential possible connections is much more higher than the number of neurons.
И да създават невронни групи.
And that's creating neural sets.
Ще се опитам да обясна каква е възможността за броя връзки в главата на всеки.
Let's try to evaluate the possible number of connections.
Връщам се на познатата ни Вселена.
Back to the universe.
Слънчевата система е част от галактика, наречена Млечен път, която притежава около
The Sun
100
system
милиарда
is part
звезди.
of the galaxy named Milky Way.
Около 100 милиарда звезди.
100 billion of stars.
Нашето Слънце е много малко. В средата има звезди с маса милиони слънчеви маси.
Our Sun is very small, relatively very small. There is much bigger suns in the middle of the galaxy.
Най-близката до нас галактика Андромеда на 4 светлини.
The nearest galaxy, Andromeda.
Има също брой около 100 милиарда звезди.
Again, it has something like 100 billion stars.
И познатата ни Вселена има 100 милиарда галактики с по около 100 милиарда звезди всяка.
And our known part of the universe is having 100 billions of galaxies with 100 billions stars each.
Едно с 22 нули.
One 10 on 22 yes.
Не при всички съществуват планети, разбира се, и те са много по-малка маса от тази на звездите, но съществува такава материя, както и разни астероиди, комети, звезден прах.
A lot of other structures in the universe exist, comets, cosmic dust, planets, and so on.
Това е кратко обяснение на познатата ни материя.
And that's the whole explanation of the known matter in the known universe.
Ако раздробиме цялата материя на елементарни частици,
if split the whole matter known in elementary particles,
разбира се, те стават все по-малки, но да речеме електрони.
Let's say in electrons.
Връзките, които могат да създадат между невроните, са повече от това количество елементарни.
So the total number of the possible connections between the neurons is bigger than the number of the possible electrons in the known universe.
На практика притежаваме възможност да познаваме всяка елементарна частица във видимата сфера.
In theory, everybody of us could know every single particles, let's say in person.
Това е потенциал, който притежаваме.
That's the potential. Okay. But not used.
Втората причина,
reason number two, sorry.
Е, че личностният напредък провокира щастие. Връщам се на по-малко.
The thesis is that personal progress produce happiness.
Ние сме говорили много на тази тема.
We have discussed half of our presentation on the previous conferences were in that line.
След малко ще стане въпрос за това. Третата причина,
reason number 3,
много интересна, тя е,
the
че
lack of progress
не напредъка
is
стабилно състояние,
reciprocal to getting back.
Така, както не знам дали да го преведеш, но Кирчо каза, когато Джуниор беше направил готино сайта и въобще на конференцията и каза, абе имаме добра дума за некадърник, защо не имаме кадърник?
Okay, it's playing words invented in favor of the conference of a young banker. Нали същия Кирчо?
Да.
Sorry, another Kyrgyz. But anyway, the point is that if we have names for idiots, why Yeah, okay. Why we not pay attention or have special rules for those who are clever and lucky and succeed?
Така че решихме да наречеме хората, които не напредват, назадни.
Сега.
Sorry.
In Bulgarian, person who is not progressing could be named something like a bottom.
Okay.
In Bulgarian is very good fit.
Така, ако не расте, намалява е явно.
If you are not growing, then you are decreasing.
Следващата смела стъпка, която ще направя...
нека ще ти се радва, защото нейният автомобилен номер е Grow.
Добре. Следващата смела стъпка...
Next step.
Ще се опитаме да вземем
the existing state in comparison with the requirements of the environment.
Да, подобряване на съществуващото състояние спрямо изискванията на средата. Всичко това ни даде основание да поставим
the working definition of progress.
Да поставим името.
All that in a shorthand will be named Enhansmenetics.
И това, което ще представим пред вас,
and what we are going to present now,
стартовата и система, да го наречем, форма, елементи, които сме поставили вътре, и цялата ваша критика ще ни бъде от помощ.
And all critical remarks will be highly appreciated.
Емо ще представи втората част.
Емо, the other brother, more soft knowledge connected psychologist, will continue.
Само един слайд.
Okay, so I can continue in English.
Okay.
And I do believe that all the topics will be very interesting, especially for the people who are closely related to transhumanism. However, I prefer to continue in Bulgaria in order that this is the very first beginning of presenting this slide. And
so because of this is the first present sorry. Аз мислех, че вече е приключил на български.
Да оцелеем,
to survive,
да не сме назадници,
to be not bottom head,
и да сме щастливи,
and to be happy.
И разбира се, има още много други причини да искаме и да се опитваме да напредваме, но дори само тези.
Even if we consider only these reasons, they are enough. Of course, there is much more reasons.
Дори само те са поред нас достатъчни да се опитаме да поставиме точица на комплексната карта на научните дисциплини.
So, in this case, we are trying to put a mark on the map of the complex sciences, famous in our circles, all the time citated by our lecturers.
Защото напредъка е свързан с много и различни компоненти и връзките с различни.
Because the progress is connected with many other disciplines and directions of thought.
И това е причината да считаме за правилно да има един общ холистичен подход, който да обхване всички
the reason we are considering a general holistic approach to let's say to everything.
И нарекахме това нещо Enhansmenetics.
And that's this all that system is we name it Enhansmenetics.
Напредъка от една страна можем да го разгледаме като външен.
So progress could be from one hand side could be considered as external. Enhancement. Okay, we will continue with the word enhancement instead of progress, because we agreed here that this is a better word, presenting better the Bulgarian meaning of the word.
Като по външен всъщност разбираме всички онези неща, които са привнесени към човека и към човешкият организъм, свързани с подобрение, върху които той няма влияние.
So, external will be all factors impacting the person, but out of his control.
От една страна те могат да бъдат
From one hand side,
инвитро.
From one hand side, they could be in vitro.
Намеси в директно на ниво ДНК.
Intervention directly to the DNA chains.
Където директно можем да си програмираме определени желани за нас.
Where it is possible to program desirable changes in DNA.
От друга страна, те могат да бъдат in vivo.
From the other hand side, they could be in vivo.
Когато в вече съществуващите биологични системи внесем различни подобрения.
In an existing biological system, we are introducing different improvements.
Или на вече съществуващи биологични системи директно добавиме нови.
Или we are adding additional new components to the existing biological system.
И не само биологични, а и
of course that is valid not only for biological systems. Oh yeah. These additions could be non-biological as well as biological.
И всъщност голяма част от тези подобрения виждаме, че се решават.
Considerable part of all these improvements could be resolved. Okay.
И за неща, които тук на тази конференция преди години сме си говорили, че са възможни, вече са реализирани.
We have discussed many of them on this conference years ago, and now we are seeing that they are already fact of life, already existing.
Спомням си преди доста години, когато за първи път
years ago, I remember that years ago,
един лекоатлет Писторио с изкуствени крайници, който
Pistorius was famous because he led a long litigation to be allowed it to participate in a world competition with prostheses on the legs.
А сега вече има много включително.
Now there is a regular world competition.
Свират с изкуствени ръце, пианисти с добавени елементи.
Just to add from my side, there is 120,000 biocontrolled prostheses at the moment.
И това е само начало.
And of course, this is only the beginning, of course.
От друга страна, напредъка може да бъде и вътрешен.
The enhancement could be internal,
където към съществуващия биологичен вид подаваме информация, вследствие на която той се променя.
Where we are supplying the existing biological organism with new information. Thanks to that, it is changed. Education is definitely exactly that.
Информацията може да бъде от еволюционен.
Information could be from evolutionary type,
фармацевтичен или механичен.
Mechanical or actually chemical, not pharmaceutical.
по същество информация и енергия могат да се разгледат като един. По-скоро като информация. От гледна точка на химичните въздействия, които могат да водят
From the point of view of chemical impacts,
можем да ги разделим на синтетични и натурални.
Could be split it into synthetic and natural.
Синтетични основно имаме в различни видове лекарства.
For example, different sorts of drugs or different natural products, plants, mycoses and so on.
А тяхното влияние може да води до подобрение както на когнитивните способности, така и върху физиологията.
Their influence could lead to improvements as well to the neural functions or to the physiological functions.
И тук вече има съществуващи много на вид препарати, подобряващи.
And we have in fact a long list of different drugs or medicaments improving the all different functions.
От друга страна, подобрение на човешката биология можем да постигнем и с влияние на механично създадени уреди и устройства.
Improvement or enhancement could be achieved also with mechanical add-ons or implants. Yes, implants.
Неща от типа на инхалиране на различни химични съединения при промяна на налягането, каквото може да се случи в кислородна барокамера.
For example, changing the or inhalating actually the conditions in a barocamera. Recently there was such experiment, by the way.
Където последни експерименти попадахме, че освен възстановяване на възпаления и подобрение на физиологията, могат да сподобрят и когнитивните способности.
So it's interesting to point out that it is possible not only to improve the medical conditions, but also the intellectual conditions.
И разбира се, различни мероприятия и трансформации, които могат да се случат на тялото посредством пускането на електрически ток, електростимулации.
And of course all sorts of external stimulations via thermo, electric or magnetic influence.
Но всички тези неща, които изброихме до момента, по една или друга причина действат индиректно на организма или са изнесени отвън.
And all that, mentioned before, factors or sources of external influence for enhancement.
И в крайна сметка, докато не станем постхумани, ги считаме за добавящи.
So until we are not becoming posthumans, it is actually we could consider all that as add-ons or implants. Probably we have to keep that word.
И за това малко по-сериозен фокус можем да сложим на еволюционния подход, който се занимаваме вече, може би.
So because of that, we would like to stress on the fact that we are paying bigger attention to the evolutionary approach, which we are developing already for a number of years.
Освен важността на това да напредваме, ние имаме и еволюционната способност.
So, in addition to the ability to enhance ourselves, we have the skill of
enhancement.
To evaluate.
И този механизъм
And
се
this
нарича
mechanism,
стрес.
this mechanics, this mechanism is named stress.
И способността ни да го преодоляваме и адаптираме.
Our ability to adapt and to change is connected with the concept of stress.
Всяко едно подобрение, което се случва по
Any improvement
естествен начин,
taking place by a natural
всичко,
way,
което учи,
everything we have studied,
всъщност е свързано с това да изпитаме и превъзмогнем
actually is connected with experiencing and overtaking certain level of stress.
По отношение на стреса като цяло, отношението, което
Speaking about to the stress
негативно.
as a whole, the negative attitude prevails.
В голяма част това е свързано, защото ние веднага виждаме негативните ефекти от него.
And it is because we immediately see the immediate negative results of the stress.
Но положителните такива от него ги приемаме малко априори.
But positive effects of the stress, we are accepting a little bit a priori.
Може би тук един от може би първите, които дефинират стреса, Ханс Елие, е направил най-голямата беля.
Hans Ellie, by the way, Nobel Prize award for stress theory, made the biggest harm.
Или може би не е бил добре разбран.
Or probably others didn't understand him very well.
Ние винаги се връщаме към онзи негативен ефект.
Citating him, actually, we are getting back, or most of the people are thinking about the negative effect of the stress.
А това, което би трябвало да се вземе под внимание, че експериментите са основно върху животните, супер, свръх екстремни ситуации.
But we have to remember that almost all experiments of Hans Selye were done on animals in extreme conditions.
И сега това, нали, не го казваме, за да порицаеме този човек или, нали, по някакъв начин да изглеждаме по-умни, а само за да преведем един негов цитат, че дори и той казва, че
we are not going to blame Dr. Selye, but we would like to citate a citation from him.
Тоталната липса на стрес е несъвместима с живота.
Total lack of stress is uncomparable with the life. Incompatible.
В реалния живот,
in the real life,
адаптираме към стреса, ние напредваме.
Adapting to the stress in the real life, we are actually enhancing or progressing.
А когато това не се случи, за съжаление, има
If
негативен ефект.
that is not taking place, then in this case we have negative result up to the heavy consequence.
Как да се пребориме с това нещо и всъщност да използваме изцяло позитивните ефекти на стреса?
How to make sure that we are using the positive effects of stress and as a result achieving adaptation.
Един от начините е да сложим потенциометър на самия стрес. Условно
conditionally speaking, let's say this way, let's put a regulator on the stress or potentiometer. Yeah.
И този стрес да го контролирано подаваме
and apply that stress in a controlled form or controlled dosage form.
В дейности и мероприятия, които искаме той да напредва,
applying that in activities in which we would like to enhance the individual, the person.
Като нивата са такива, че да може да се адаптира, но не по-ниски от това да се отечи.
So it must be carefully dosed. So from one hand side, it must create adaptation, but not without getting bored.
И тук използваме ефекта на flow.
And here we are connecting the flow effect.
Мониторирайки натоварването и нивото на адаптация,
Monitoring the level of load and the level of adaptation.
с помощта на монитор, който да може да проследи
With the help of monitor following
нивото на изпитан стрес.
The level of the experienced stress.
Тук вариантите могат да са много и най-различни, но това, което ние сме използвали в нашите експерименти е Holter.
In our experiments, we were using Holter device following the heart activity.
И по-специално heart rate variability.
And especially paying attention with heart rate variability, just to add more, this technology, these techniques was demonstrated on a previous conference couple of years ago.
От друга страна, ако ние не сме в състояние да сложим потенциометър на стреса, а той е такъв,
so if we are not in a position to mount an potentiometer or controller on the stress,
имаме възможност да се възползваме от още един еволюционен механизъм.
We could use one more evolutionary mechanism.
Всъщност, единственият ни инструмент, с който можем да променяме нашето емоционално състояние, а именно дишането.
The only instrument for changing our emotional state, namely the breathing. Breathing.
Кохерентното такова дишане,
coherent breathing,
всъщност води до повишаване на вариабилността на сърдечната.
Actually is leading to increasing the variability of heart activity. After 2 days, Сашо Балабанов, another doctoral student of us, will present that on the conference experimentally.
И отново тук добавения ефект е, че повишената вариабилност всъщност води до...
And again, it will be demonstrated that the added какво добавяме?
Повишената вариабилност всъщност повишава способността за адаптиране.
So, increased heart variability is leading to improved adaptation.
И има още един начин, по който
There is one more method
противодейства на неконтролирания стрес.
For opposing the uncontrolled stress.
Тук не сме ресърчвали, не сме правили достатъчно.
But we have no experimental material on that direction, on that topic.
Но е сравнително нов.
It is relatively new.
Добре е ресърчван. Следователи като Келли МакГонигъл.
And it is studied carefully, not by us, but by some other researchers.
Където промяната на майндсета към стреса,
where the changing the mindset towards stress
може би не води толкова до използване на позитивното му действие, но намалява негативното такова.
hardly lead to improving the positive effect, but definitely decrease the negative effect.
Това е в общи линии обяснението на картата, която
That is explanation of all this slide, which already was mentioned, that it is for the first time exposed to the attention of the conference, so it is subject to critics. We will break it down very soon. Okay. Okay, that's it. I don't know, was it my translation quite successful?
Excellent. Thank you very much, Angel. Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for this excellent presentation. Angel, thank you very much for this translation. Very important topic. In the field of longevity, that's been a huge issue. Actually, a part of Mechnikov research, not very well known. Do you understand me?
Yes.
Okay. A part of Mechnikov's research, not very well known, is the research on the so-called cytotoxic serums. Basically, stimulation of stress that in some doses were supposed to improve regeneration, and in greater doses can destroy the organism. So that seems exactly what you are talking about. And later, this area developed into the so-called hormesis research. Basically, the same idea. Small stress can improve adaptability, improve variability. Larger doses can actually be harmful. So for longevity research, that's a very important topic. Some even say that most of the drugs we consider longevity drugs or anti-aging drugs, such as metformin or rapamycin, they actually these kind of non-specific hormetins or small or non-specific stressors that the actual pathways are not even so important as their effect on the central nervous system as stressors. That's cause the adaptation effect. But my question is, in all this area of research, a very important question is the question about the threshold. When it is that the stress stops being adaptive and becomes exhaustive, to use Celia's terms, what is this threshold? How do you look for this threshold, for this border in your research? Because that seems to be a very important issue. How do you even approach it theoretically? Because once again, if you overdose a little, instead of adaptation, instead of healing, longevity, you actually accelerate degeneration, accelerate exhaustion and death. So how do you look for this border?
Threshold е ниво.
Да.
Okay, that's Emo. That's the other brother, Svetlu. Okay.
Well, in our experiment, what we see is with the threshold is the level of heart rate variability. As you know, of our experiments, the participants are wearing small devices, small halters, which we check the level of variability. And when the variability decreases, that is the threshold in which we have to decrease the stress.
Okay, that's one way to go about it, which is of course related to entropy and and complexity and things like that. Obviously, variability. Using a Lipschitz measure of entropy, he also suggested that even aging is kind of measure of complexity. So basically, variability is a proxy for complexity. You can measure it as level of entropy. So when in aging, when the system becomes less complex, it's basically less entropy, less variability than when the system is aging also.
Yeah. Okay. 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 Other questions? Petko. Just a second, да преведеме, за да чуят и съдът. Не. Така, нали, в името на любезността. So the question of Petko is, first he had expressed his appreciation of the work of the two brothers. So, citating a classic, if more people are going to think, the world will be going to be better. And another comment. So, medical part is missing. It is good from a psychological point of view. Until I was hearing your presentation, I looked my stress indicator. He has stress indicator on the hand. And his stress level was increased, but he is evidently going to adapt to the situation. So the suggestion is to invite a medical expert in the team. For example, real life example is a study on bicycle runners. Could be that this information about the bicycle runners will be useful as a source of information, another source of information. В момента има много реди. Да. He is speaking about different devices for measuring stress, which is available on the market. Just to add one interesting fact, I met a person in San Francisco on a quantitative self meetup who had 367 sensors on his body installed. So it was very interesting. In general, positive statement. Junior is having questions.
I actually am going to softly disagree with the previous comment. First of all, they already have a medical person in there. He's a PhD in medicine. I think this is as good as it gets. But I think that the thing that they will need, and this is one of the papers tomorrow, is a data scientist. And tomorrow you will see actually 3 data scientists helping out to some extent their cause. So I don't think we don't need too much more medicine. Of course, there could be a lot more and a lot more. But the crucial expertise is not medicine, but data science. Ако си изключи звука за малко само. Не, ти си изключил микрофона, не би си говорите. Okay.
Yeah.
So continuing with this, and I'm returning to the slide. I think that as a person who has been looking at this, participating in the conversation several years now, probably, I think that you misplaced the flow. It's not within the stress cycle. It is alternative. It is a side route to stress. Yes, it could be entangled somewhere there, but it is in its own measure which you can control. You can control stress. We know this already. You have the PhD on this already, but we also know from other authors that we can control the ability of people going into the state of flow, and by this achieving and enhancing a lot more. So I think, and they, of course, you cannot speak of going to flow without getting some level of stress, of course. But I think that this is a whole another way of thinking, because this is where we go with gamification. This is where we go with personal self-motivation, self-determination theory, and so on and so forth. So this is kind of, I think this is the place, the correct place.
We had discussed last year.
Сега си пусни микрофона, за да те чуят.
I think that we had discussed that, and we share our preliminary results in trying to create flow situation via gaming. For me, this is the easiest way to get into a flow. In some cases, but not always, that was the problem. We were in a position to create a collective flow of many students, the whole room, to introduce them into collective flow situation. Unfortunately, up to the moment we don't know, and last year we didn't invent any method that we could command getting in the flow. By will. So we could try, we could succeed or not, but we can't say, let's go to the flow.
Yeah.
And all are becoming toward the 300 higher level of productivity, 300% higher level of productivity.
We can only set up the conditions if
we could set up conditions, try to achieve something, probably achieve something, but it is not for sure. So that's the technological problem. We are not having the technology to make sure that by will we get into the flow.
Само ще пресушиш да се говори.
Да. Okay, други въпроси. Other questions? Разбира се. Another question from Petko, connected with the way of thinking. At the moment, the main metrics is measuring the result. Did you try to measure the level of efforts involved? The answer is we are doing that permanently.
Натоварвания, които всеки път повишават малко или в бизнеса, или в спорта, където наблюдаваме.
So the level of load, we are controlling the level of load, and the steps of increasing the workload. So we are measuring that permanently.
Да. Неща като разговори по телефон, като преговори, като такъв тип неща, или четене на някакъв.
So that workload is possible to be physical or mental, both of them are possible, and they are doing that on a permanent basis.
Но има поле,
Despite of that, of course, it's always possible to improve. Okay. So, I think, благодаря много. Сега аз поначало, by initial intention, I put my last presentation as a buffer because it's time for lunch. From 5 o'clock, there is a new session, this time on the main topic of education, active methods of education. Actually, it is about gamification. The two main achievements of my life will demonstrate their achievements, my son and my daughter. So we have to stop for now. My presentation will stay for a better moment. It is not so important. Actually, I was hesitating to repeat it, actually, because it is not very academic. The word sheet is repeated about 50 times. Of course, it is the idea to impress the public, but it is not academic. So this time, because of the lack of time, the question is decided not because of unacademic language, but because of the lack of time. So, Ilya, thank you very much for your participation. I am really impressed by your patience. Actually, I'm really impressed when you are reacting to my Facebook post in Bulgarian, written in Bulgarian.
Thank you.
Yes, no. No.
No, thank you. I'm impressed by everything you are doing. Angel, you are a beacon of progress. Thank you for all you're doing. Thank you. And happy to be here next time.
Okay. So, of course, you are very much welcome. Next time, including physical presence. Actually, Tel Aviv is not so far. There is
absolutely 2 hours flight or even 1 hour flight.
There is kosher restaurants on the sunny beach.
I have relatives in Sofia. What you tell me?
In Sofia as well. Okay. In this case, в този случай, всъщност свършваме. Свършваме.